Okay, traders, on to the first video, monthly key levels. Now, key levels in particular, many people actually struggle because they have no clue how to plot key levels. And if they do, often they plot too many key levels. Okay, so we want to keep it short, sweet, organized as possible. So the example I'm going to run through is the Aussie dollar. Now, with the Aussie dollar in particular, okay, I have followed this pair since we were trading around here, nearly 4 years ago now. And it has been trending to the downside on a monthly time frame since then. As you can see, the moving averages, if you just take the candlesticks away for a moment, the moving averages are in fact pointing to the downside there, as you can see. And if we zoom in, we can also see that potentially we may have a crossover soon. So that gives us an idea as to, Aussie may be reversing soon to the upside, who knows. So blank chart, if we zoom out on a blank chart, all of this can look quite intimidating, all right? But what we want to do, what the idea is here is to break the market up into chunks. And we want to find the chunks that are the most suitable, okay, for the current time zone. I'm not talking about London sessions and so on. I'm on about what's relevant to now. So what I want to do is I'm going to break this up and I'm going to give you an insight into how I plot all of my key levels onto a chart. And we'll go from there. So I'm going to start with a monthly. Now, on Aussie on the monthly, because I've watched this for so long, I know where all of the lows of the years are, the highs of the years, the monthly lows, the yearly lows, and so on. Okay, so this is why it's important, I've already mentioned, to live out your currency pairs on a day-to-day basis and really crunch down your currency pairs so you can actually focus on just a few rather than many, and you get to live them out, you get to know all of the levels, you become very, very familiar with them. Aussie is one of my favorite pairs in particular because it's quite easy to trade and analyze. So at the moment, we're trading at 0.7558. Okay, and now what my job is here is to break this down and put the monthly key levels on there. So I'm going to run through this. It's not rocket science. A lot of the key levels as well, guys, going forward is going to be derived. It's going to come from my knowledge and experience of following these pairs. And I don't want to really give all of my secrets, so to speak, away. So that's why the member zone is here. So you can come back and you can get updates on all of the key levels if I manage to change them over time. And it may be 3 months, it may be 6 months. Some of the currency pairs in which I'm going to plot the key levels onto are more or less going to be active for a long period of time. So once this is actually done, we don't have to come back, reanalyze and modify all of our levels. So I'm breaking the videos down into the monthly. The next one is going to be the weekly, and the one after that is going to be the daily and the 4 hour, because we use the daily and 4 hour in conjunction with each other. I'm going to keep the charts as clean and crisp as possible. All right, and yeah, we're going to go from there. So I'm just going to stick with the Aussie in these examples. And later on down the line, I'm going to drop other currency pairs in there as well, just to give everybody a baseline on the currency pairs that I trade and the currency pairs in which I'm going to be posting on a weekly basis inside the members zone. So first things first, let's come over to our horizontal line. I always like to keep my horizontal line one of these. We can have it the thinnest or we can have it the one up, and I always like to keep it black. So from my experience, Aussie dollar recently has made a base around 0.7, around here, yeah? As you can see on the monthly time frame, we tried to pierce it 1 to 3 months, but we couldn't actually sustain and break and close below that. If we go back in time, just quickly, just to throw that out there, we can see that this can look very, very daunting to some people. So don't worry about it. What our aim is here, what we are trying to do is break up the most relevant pieces of price action. So we don't have to go all the way up here. By all means, that is resistance. This is resistance, okay? This is resistance, but we want to focus on what is relevant, the most recent range and so forth. So I'm going to run through this. I'm going to place the key levels on there. But as I say, I'm not going to give all of the secrets away with this because This is a lot of hard work, dedication, and experience. And again, this is why you are joining AstroFX, to get these levels, to get the updated analysis and so on. So I'm going to go through it. So 0.7 is my first one. And what we can do as well, guys, instead of sitting here and trying to snap on, bang on, what we can actually do with TradingView is we can click the line and this bar will appear. We can go to settings and we can go to coordinates and we can just modify the coordinates. What we're looking for here as well is I am trying my best to keep towards the 00s and the 50s, because the 00s and the 50s, the psychological levels and the psychological boundaries, are the ones in which many institutions, banks and so forth are trading from. Okay, they're like the biggest barriers. So this is why I want to stick with those barriers on the monthly and weekly time frames if I can, especially on the monthly. So 0.7 is my first area. My next area is 0.7400. So again, I can just come in here and modify 0.7400. Looking at this on a weekly perspective, we have this area around here. Now, what I've done with this, in the back of my mind, I'm trying to get the average, because after I've plotted my first two levels on there and I'm happy with that, I am in fact going to be adding a thin strip. So let me just double check with my chart, which is already configured and I've already used. So let's just go over to the Aussie dollar at the moment. None of my highlighted strips are in fact on here. Okay, so 72250 and got 7050. So I'm just going to go back and modify this one to 7050. And then 7400 there. So I placed my first two levels on there, and this is going back to the monthly time frame. If you zoom out as well, we can also see historical places in which we've actually bounced from. So we have other confluences there. So here, 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 and we also have here as well. And then we have this zone along here. So between 0.7050 and 0.7400, it's a 350 pip range. What you can do, you can go ahead, once you've got that range on there, you can measure it with the arrow, if you will. You can measure it with the arrow. Or, and once you've measured it with the arrow, you can then clone the arrow, and then you can add an arrow to the top, add another horizontal line here, and so on. Or simply, if you can obviously see that it's 350 pips apart, we can just use that and do it in our heads. So 7400 add 350 is 7750. So 7750 there on the Aussie. As you can see here, nice confluence as well, going back into historical. There. And I might just go ahead and add one more. So if I go back, so I've got 7750s on there, and then I've got 8100. So I'm going to add the 8100 on there as well. There's the 8100, nice confluence right there, right here, and right here too. Any more, and also going back right here. Now, as I say, I'm not going to give all of my secrets away for finding these key levels. This is what you're going to be coming back into the members for, and this is why you have joined AstroFX. I maybe do one more to the downside, okay, but it's not really relevant yet. If the price fell and broke through that level, then we would add the next one. Again, another 350 from 7050, so it will be 6700. Okay, so 6700s. Now anyway, so these are the monthly ones. If we look at this on a weekly basis, on a weekly perspective, we can see yesterday, okay, so what we have here, we have 1, 2, 3 pin pattern, 1, 2, and 3, also a bearish engulfing coming off that. This is also a lower swing high comparison to this one. We have here 1, 2, 3 pin pattern there as well, bouncing off 750. And Aussie, recently in the last few weeks, we can see a tweezer top, 1, 2, tweezer top formation, candlestick formation, which is in the book. And yesterday we closed as a shooting star as well. So as you can see, the 00s, the 50s are quite very, very important, trust me, on all time frames, on all currency pairs. You can go back in time, you can see confluences here, here, and here. So anyway, what we need to do now on the monthly time frame is once we've plotted those levels on there, so this is the Aussie dollar, we now need to go into, basically get your chart, and we want this zone in the middle of the screen. We go over to the rectangle tool, and then our job is to draw a thin strip across just one of the levels for now. Now, this thin strip, we don't want it to be too wide. Now, that's still a little bit too wide. So the strip in itself is around 40 pips. We want it about 30 pips width. So if I go back to the monthly time frame, as you can see here, and I just want to make it a tad thinner. So something like that. And we can always just zoom back down to the lower time frame to see if it's too thin or too thick. But that there, guys, a 30 pip width on the rectangle, the first rectangle, is brilliant. The reason why we placed the rectangle on there, and you would have seen this on some of my videos, and you would have also seen it on some of my, let's say, Instagram pictures, Twitter images, chart images, and so forth, is because with the monthly levels, we're going for, even though we've picked out the round numbers, 0.8100 here, it's more of a range as well. So history will repeat itself in the market, but it may come, let's say the price broke through this level and it came up to this level. It might just pierce just before it, straight to it, or just after it and through it a little bit there. So you can see here. So what we're doing is we're catering for this zone, this area of resistance, and we're not limiting ourselves to just one specific price. So we want the average overall. So what we can then do is we can copy and paste. So we draw one thin one. Once you're happy with that, again, take your time. We can copy and paste that, and then we can go ahead and drag it, guys. If you want to be super perfectionist on the chart, because that's what I am, we can put a vertical line there, and then we can just ensure that each one of these copy and pasted ranges is in line with the others. Again, we want to keep this neat, accurate, and organized. Once you're happy with that, you can go in and you can remove. Okay, you can remove the vertical line. So in the book as well, you'll notice in the book in the key level section, I have the arrows. Obviously, I've just explained it, at the start of this video, we can either place the two ranges, add the arrows on there if you will, or if you're more advanced at reading the quotes on the right hand side here, you can just calculate one to the other and then obviously add the ones below and the ones above. Now, if you go to the weekly time frame, just to look at how this jumps out at us, we can clearly see now that we got some very, very neat ranges. If you really want to, you can just go ahead and just modify those if you wish. All right, modify those, and as you can see, we've got our monthly levels on there. Round numbers, very responsive and reactive levels. However, we need to add more onto this. Obviously, this is just a month. So that's neat enough for me. What I'm now going to do is the levels here, the black lines, we need to go ahead and label these. So we actually click the black line and we go to the cog. Now we go to style, and this is in the book as well. We want to click show text. As you can see there, this has just popped up. So this is monthly resistance, and the level is 0.8100. Okay, then we go to the next one. Show text. This is monthly resistance, 0.7750. Okay, that one's done. And by the way, guys, I always like to have this in capitals. So it's monthly RES for resistance and SUPP for support. As so, SUPP. Oops, SUPP. The support level 0.7400 there. As you can see, I'm only going to the fourth decimal place. The fourth one is a pip, remember. We want to kind of ignore the fifth, or it can get a little bit too confusing. For me, at size 10, you can go through this, make it bold. I like the supports to be on the bottom and the resistance to be on the top. Okay, show text once more. There we go, monthly support. And then last but not least, we have monthly support 0.7050. Monthly support, show text, bottom. Okay, whoops. Show text. Okay, so what we have here, as you can see, instead of adding some labels on like here or here, we've added it to the actual line. So when we're moving the charts around, it stays flush, it stays clean, it stays neat. Alright, so we have our key levels there, 350 pips apart on this pair in particular. Other currency pairs may be wider, some may be smaller, but I'm going to go and add the levels in either at the end of this section or maybe towards the end. I'm not too sure yet. So this is Aussie, 7400, 7050, support, underneath the lines, resistance above. Obviously the price is here right now, 7558, so anything above the price is resistance, anything below the price is support. That's more or less that for the monthly time frame. Okay, so as you can see, if I zoom out, we don't need to go all the way up here. By all means, I've already mentioned, yes, that is resistance. We've got resistance here, support, and so on, but it's thousands of pips away. It's not doing that anytime soon. If the price was to break above the resistance here or the support right here, then we would just add another layer up here and follow the price through. So that's how you put your monthly levels on. I've not gave away the full behind the scenes secret to this, but guys, if you just put these levels on now, follow my lead throughout this whole course and throughout the weekly breakdowns and so on, you will gain some great success going forward. So these are your monthlies. As you can see, we've started from top to bottom. We don't start from bottom upwards. We never draw support on anything, any time frame. We don't draw it on the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, the hourly, the 2 hour. We want to go from the spectrum, monthly, weekly, daily, 4 hour. That's it. This is where the big guys are looking. This is where the price is bouncing from on a higher perspective, and this is where you're going to find the most accuracy. What we're now going to do, we're going to jump down to the weekly time frame in the next video on the Aussie dollar. I'm going to show you how to plot those levels on there as well. So we're going to be going mid-range here, mid-range here, mid-range here, and then things will start to come together. So that's the monthly on the Aussie. You will have 5 currency pairs by the end. I'm also going to give away the key levels on gold as well in the course. Once you've done this, you can take your time and try and keep these nice and thin, line them all up. Again, round numbers, use the coordinates there, and this is going to last quite a while, to be honest. So once it's done, it is done. So on to the next video.